Hello everyone, welcome to the third part of ZBrush, the Beetle course. And well, here as you see, we've worked a bit more the model. In this case, I've gone a couple of steps back in order to make the pyramid a bit smaller, so I have space to make these elements here. As you see, it's exactly the same, only I decided to make some details differently. For example, this other drawing and some borders here. But as you see, it's basically the same. I hope you could also work on these and that you did your own model. Okay? Good, the next step, now we see this element has 8 million polygon, 6 subdivision, and the lowest level is over 8,000 polygons. We can optimize these even more as follows. We're going to duplicate this beetle, okay? And this one here, the top one, we'll set it to 3, more or less. Hit delete lower and delete higher. And we'll optimize this element here more. We'll apply Z remesh with symmetry enabled. We'll lower these and hit the button. The intention behind these is making the low poly model even more low poly. Alright? Okay, excuse me, I made a mistake. We have to disable symmetry on the Z axis. And now we hit it. Alright, we can now hit the half button and hit Z remesher again so we control the downsides of the polygons. $7,000, $6,000. Let's check it out. Okay, I think at 6,000 it's okay, alright? Now we're going to activate the high poly beetle, and inside the project panel, and having selected the low poly beetle, we hit project all. Alright? This way, the definition of the high poly beetle is projected onto the low poly one. We hide the high poly version and we see now there's more detail. Now we subdivide and we do the same. We activate the eye and hit project all again. And we check how it's coming together. See? Again, another subdivision. Activate the eye. And hit the button again. As we raise the subdivision levels, it will take a bit more. Let's give it one more try. Activate the eye, and we hit the button again. Good. We're starting to have enough detail. Notice the level of detail with just 386,000 polygons compared to the other, in which we had like 8 million tops. We can still squeeze these a bit more, so we'll make the same. Subdivide this model. 1.5 million polygons. Activate the eye, and again, project all. Good, let's see. Well, great. As you see, we have a lot of detail now, but with much less polygons. We can take the old element if we see we're sure, or we can even see how many polygons we could get more with one more subdivision level. It would go up to 6, okay? We could even make one more. So we also optimize it even more, and we get more detail. So we're going to do a last projection. Good, it's done now. It will probably took quite enough for you. It took around 3 or 4 minutes, so be patient. If you have a modest computer, just don't do this last subdivision and that's it, okay? Now we have a more optimized model. We're going to select the old one and we'll delete it. And let's get this one and place it in the folder we decide. All right. There are two things we will do next. One is to export the UV maps so we can export the model to Substance Painter and open it. And the other is to export the ID map, which will basically help us painting from ZBrush the model with alternative colors, so we can use that ID map in Substance Painter, and through that map we'll be able to paint those zones using Substance Painter. This way, though the model is one piece in Substance Painter, we'll be able to paint it as if it was made of many pieces. Okay? So we're going to take the model and we'll be getting the UV map from it. In order to do this, it is enough to have a model in subdivision. We have a model with subdivision 6, so perfect. So we go to Z plugin and hit work on clone. Okay? With this, we create a low poly clone of the model we have. All right? Good. The next step is to cut this model in order to tell the program where we want to cut the UVs. All right? In this case, more or less with common sense, we do a cut through all this zone in order to cut the model in two parts, and precise parts like these ones here, which are a bit more complicated, we can do some cut around here too. In order to do this very easily, we're going to go to the Z plugin panel, which is here. Okay? And we're going to click on Enable Control Painting. Okay? We'll click the button Attract, and we'll paint the zone through which we want the model to be cut. Okay? We can apply a small level of smoothness here. In this panel, we set Polish by Features to 1. And we smooth a bit the zone. And now we're going to do the cut by painting it. It will go through here. We can activate symmetry in order to do it better. We remove it on the Z-axis, so we paint in both sides. Now we're telling the program where it should place the cuts. Obviously, in order to do this procedure, ZBrush is not the best option. There are programs like Maya itself, or 3D Max, or Cinema 4D itself, or 3D Code, which are specific. Actually, 3D Code is quite focused in this function, you know. ZBrush, as I was saying, is not the best program to get UV maps and do these kind of things, but in order to not use many programs, I'll teach you this method, which, though far from being perfect, it will help us present the model. Good, so we would cut through here like this. And this part, which is a bit more complicated, the same. We patiently indicate more or less where it would cut this. And well, just in case it isn't clear, I insist, we're making these blue lines in order to indicate the program where we want it to cut the UV maps. These will eventually unfold, don't worry, so we'll later see properly what we're doing when we unfold this model. Anyway, do as I'm doing and you'll later see exactly what it is for. Good. We've done the cut that surrounds all the piece. We're going to paint these zones here, more or less, in order to indicate where the program should cut the piece. Let's go through here. If we see later it doesn't look good, we'll just have to paint again a bit. Okay, I think this way it's enough, okay? The protect brush is for protecting these zones. I think we won't need it for now. So we'll click the unwrap button now, okay? Good, we wait, and then we click check seams in order to check where it did the cuts. We can see that more or less it took our reference. Some parts it just cut through where it wanted, but well, in general it's quite good. We can click flatten in order to unfold the maps, and we see it looks good. As I say, it's not the best option, and there are much better options to do this, but they're too elaborate, and for this piece especially, these will be enough, okay? We can also remove now the background image. Here are the UV maps. So we would click the button unflatten and then copy UVs. And now we go to the model we had before, the normal one, and hit paste UVs, so we copy these UVs. Perfect. This is done now. We'll save the project again. And next, we'll go to the texture map panel and we'll click create new from polypaint. Okay? Here we have the texture of the map. Hit clone texture, so it will appear here. And in the texture menu, we can export this texture here, okay? We can name it however we want. In this case, I'll name it white. And we'll save it as PNG or JPG, okay? Good, perfect. Now that we have this, we would have to export in OBJ a low poly version and a high poly version, okay? So let's start with the high poly one. Let's hit delete lower here, and with just one level of subdivision, like this, 6 million polygons. We'll export this model in OBJ. From here, we name it high and wait until it's exported. Good, now we'll do the same but with the low poly object. So we undo using Control Z, set the subdivision level to 1, click delete higher in order to set that this will be the only subdivision level. And now we export this and name it low. Okay, that's it. Good, we go back. The next step would be to get the ID map. We'll make this map from ZBrush through Polypaint. Alright. As we see, we only have one white Polypaint. So we'll remove this line so we can't see it. And we'll start marking what we want to be a different material or color in Substance Painter. As I say, this is in order for us to be able to paint it with different colors or apply different materials in Substance Painter. So that object in the end will appear as an object made of many objects, okay? Good. With these, what we'll do is marking using masks. So we select the lasso stroke and start selecting these wings. More or less around here. Like this, more or less. Good, now we switch to the polygroups panel and click Group Masked. Okay, let's see why there's no paint on the polygroup. Okay, here we have to disable this function, and this way we'll be able to see what we're doing. We had the texture on, so we have to disable it for now so we can see the poly paints. Good, now we could, for example, do one more selection in this part here. So we select the circle stroke tool in order to create a circular mask. And now, holding space, we can put it around here, for example. And we'll make another polygroup here. Group masked. If we wanted to have a different color so we can differentiate it better, we just click it again until we get a color we like. Okay? And last, we could, for example, paint with a different material or color the pyramid part. For this, we'll use again the lasso. And well, with a steady pulse, we select it around here. Okay, more or less like this. Group masked. Okay, great. We have these differentiated by different polygroups, and now we'll switch to the polypaint option, and we'll find the polypaint from polygroups. With these, we use the polygroups for painting the piece of these polygroups. Now it's painted like this, but now we go to Texture Map, and here we click on New from Polypaint. All right? Check it out. And now we clone this texture and we export it just like before with the white one. We have to check if the orientation of both files match, because sometimes they don't. If that would be the case, we can just use these buttons here, though in this case, they're fine. Let's use the name ID map. And we click Save. And that's it. With these, we can go back if we want. We can perfectly save this model, in this case, as a ZBrush file, not OBJ. And now with these, we can switch to Substance Painter and work with all the elements at our disposal. So we'll leave this part of the course here, and in the next one, we'll start with the program. All right, see you later.